Hello and welcome to another episode of Tiva Drive, and today we are here at the Tesla Supercharger, the new one that's a V3, 32 stalls in Mississauga at QEW and Dixie. And guess what? Out of the 32, 10 are broken, so we can't even try the adapter that a friend of ours lent us. We borrowed this adapter specifically to try and plug in and charge using the adapter, but no such luck. It's super cold. It's like minus 25 with the wind chill today. Lots of snow, as you can see. We just came back from a trip up north, so I'm gonna jump inside and tell you all about the results of our testing of this 2024 Ford eTransit and the comparison with the Chevy BrightDrop electric trucks as well, because we previously compared it with the Mercedes eTransit, which we tested before. So here is this Ford eTransit. So let me jump in before I freeze my hand off. Okay, so here's the view of the full Tesla, and a lot of Teslas are waiting because so many units are broken. So there you go, quite a few Teslas waiting. 10 out of 32 are broken. Very sad situation, even with a Tesla Supercharger. Okay, so let's jump in and quickly tell you about our test results. Okay guys, so here we are, the big mystery solved. What are we comparing this 2024 Ford eTransit? We are comparing it logically with this Chevy BrightDrop. So here's a 600 long version, here's a 400 short version. And so basically the Ford is, because it's a long version, it's shorter than the 600 but longer than the 400. Now, the interesting story is that this Ford, the load capacity is double of these guys. Actually, yeah, it's more than double of this one, the long one. So the long one has load capacity of only 1,400 pounds, so that's like less than 700 kilos. And then this one is 1,800 pounds, so this is like less than 900 kilograms. Obviously here, it's 1.3 tons. So it's substantially more, and it's due to the weight of the battery. So the smallest battery, and by the way, the BrightDrop comes in both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The Ford only comes as a rear-wheel drive, and that's why I got stuck in my driveway. The logical thing is to go. They say that everybody's going for the large battery, and everybody's going for the all-wheel drive version. And if you go for the long version with all-wheel drive, apparently the rebate programs are up to $40,000 on these vehicles. That's why they're flying off the shelves. All of those that you can see here, they've been pre-sold. They're all sold out. So we were lucky to get a keys for one of them. Hopefully we'll get a chance to test, to actually drive one very soon. But for now, we're just comparing notes. So the small battery on the BrightDrop is 100 kilowatt hours. The big one is 173, so substantially bigger than the 89 kilowatt hours available on the Ford eTransit. And it's actually also more than the Mercedes e-Sprinter, which is 115 kilowatt hours. So the short range version that apparently nobody buys is, like I said, 100 kilowatt hours. So the Mercedes has more, Ford has less. And of course the long range version, 173 kilowatt hours, good for rated 400 kilometers range. The short range battery is rated for 250 kilometers, which is kind of right along what the Ford is. But if you need the payload, the eTransit or Ford might be the way to go, because it's only about 700 kilos on the long version, 800 and change kilos on the short version. It has to do with the weight of the total weight of the car. So let's jump into the BrightDrop. So I just opened it up. There you go. Okay, it's a sliding door, as you can see. We're gonna try and open up the back of it as well, so just bear with me. Hopefully I can figure out. There we go. And here we go. Here's the inside of the Oh, nice separation with the door and everything. Wow. So as you know, a Sprinter had a separation but no door, and eTransit has no separation, so it takes a lot to heat that interior. So here's the commercial vehicle. There is a fire extinguisher, and there is only an emergency seat for the passenger, a tiny one. So it's completely different concept than the Ford Transit and the Mercedes e-Sprinter. So here is the interior of the car, very spacious, and I love the fact that a lot of storage space here. It's much taller than the low roof. Here is the so I'm sitting much higher than the roof of the eTransit. This is a low roof version, of course. You can get a high roof version. Even the high roof would probably be still lower down than this BrightDrop. Lots of storage space here, and two screens, as you can see here, loaded with Chevrolet EV user interface. Door on the right as well, and let's enter the cargo area. Oh boy, it's actually locked, or I don't know how to open it. Let me see. I guess this is open, so we'll try and open it. I think it's locked, so we'll try and open it from the back to compare the cargo area of both cars. Anyway, so that's about it. I don't know if we can actually turn it on or not. We can see where the start button is here. It's right there. Okay, so it's on. There you go. How we close it? There we go. We just closed the door. -7 degrees, 80 kilometers range, but it's only at 19%. So assuming that this is probably the long-range battery, and you have the big screen here, the heating is on. The screen doesn't come on for whatever reason. The entertainment screen. Anyways, let's turn it on. Yeah, it hasn't been prepped properly because the center screen doesn't come on. Anyway, that's okay. Let's just turn it off, and let us show you the load area. Here, some message popped up. Anyways, yeah, the system is slow. Stay in demo mode. There we go. Here's the center screen. Charging, vehicle status, climate, 80%, 358 kilometers. When plugged in, your vehicle will charge to 80% for a range of 358. So definitely long range battery here. Okay, here we go again, 19%. Definitely the GM software shared with Equinox, Blazer EVs, and all the rest of the Chevy and GM EVs. Okay, so let's turn it off. Actually, I think it's already off. Let's open the door and try and check out the rear cargo area to compare with the Ford eTransit low roof. It's very high indeed. There we go. Here is the interior. We're transporting some stuff, some doors and things. Here's the cargo area. It's quite long. It's actually the cargo area of this Ford, even though it's a low roof, is longer than the Mercedes e-Sprinter. Very comfortable position. Unfortunately, no heated steering wheel, no heated seats, and because there's no separation between the cab and the cargo area, the consumption is very high in the winter because you're hitting the entire empty space here that you're transporting. Somebody suggested you should just fill the car with empty boxes. That's kind of funny, but it may work. Who knows? We should do Bjorn's banana box test and fill it up with boxes and see if it helps. All right, so here's the Chevy interior versus the Ford interior, and let's open the backs and see. This is how much longer the 600 is. So again, you can see here the 400 is minimally shorter. The 600 is way longer than the Ford. Here is, let's open it up. There we go. Okay. And here's the load. So basically, cubic capacity is less, but the payload is 1.3 tons versus only around 800 kilograms on the short BrightDrop, and only about 700 kilograms, less than 700 kilograms on the long version. So let's see if we can actually open it up. Let's see. Okay, this thing is not. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. Here we go. It's a full standing room, just like in the tall roof Mercedes e-Sprinter. There's a step here. Nice interior. Doors that go all the way up. It's a slide up doors. Very convenient. Let's see if we can get into the cab, the compartment. It's probably locked, I'm not sure why. I think it's some sort of a safety device. There we go. Yes, double sliding door. Look at that. Very easy and it's very practical. So I can see the attraction here, definitely. Mercedes has a fixed separation, Ford has no separation. Chevy BrightDrop has this double sliding door. Perfect. And the longest range battery. The prices for the BrightDrop start at 105 and go to 120 depending on the battery, the version. The prices for the Ford are actually 72 grand. So if your budget is 72 minus the 10 grand from the government, this one here is 120 minus 40 from the government apparently. So it may end up being cheaper than the Mercedes and the Ford. Okay, perfect. We'd love to drive this thing and test it, test the long range version to see how practical it is. But again, remember the payload is very low. This long version, lots of capacity here, but you can only put about 700 kilos, less than 700 kilograms payload versus the 800 on the short version over there. Okay, so that's about it. This button here just locks it. No, it just locks it. So let's see if we can. This is not easy. Let's try and lock it up. But anyways, that's about it. We're gonna end the video and I'll try and lock up all these cars. So here again is the short version of the BrightDrop, long version of the Ford, and the long version of the Chevy BrightDrop. That's about it here from Roy Foss Chevrolet in Woodbridge, which is the only dealer in the GTA allowed to sell these Chevy BrightDrop electric vans. Stay tuned for the full review of the Ford eTransit and the comparison. Okay, so here we are back at Electrify Canada, and today we have something very different. This 2024 Ford eTransit, and we just drove from Toronto to Barrie. We got the car with about 75%. It was showing 145 kilometers range. We arrived with only about 30 kilometers spare, down to about 20 or 30%, less than that. And the consumption on the highway was horrendous. It was 44 with heat on. So we turned off the heat and we started slipstreaming behind a semi, and we got it down to 36 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. In terms of the charging, we plugged in and we got in right away 120 kilowatts of speed. Right now we're at 36% and it's showing 103 kilowatts of speed. So we will only charge it to 80% before continuing our journey. But yes, consumption is quite horrendous on the highway, especially with the heat. The slipstreaming and turning off the heat brought the consumption down from 44 to 36. So it was more sustainable, but it's still quite high. So stay tuned for the full review. We're trying to confirm whether this eTransit has a 68 kilowatt hour usable or 89, as some of the new ones have. So stay tuned, we'll let you know. And here is the car. There's a very prominent sign in the back telling you that this is an eTransit. It's actually a Michigan car. There you go, there's the eTransit. And there we go. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at the full review. Okay, here we are inside a 2024 Ford eTransit, and we're comparing it with the Chevrolet BrightDrop, different versions. This is the low roof version, as you can tell from the back. The Ford eTransit comes in 3 different versions: low roof, middle roof, and high roof. Only one length, and this length provides you with 14-foot load length here, and also a capacity of about 2,600 pounds or 1,300 kilograms, which we fully used a few days ago when we transported 2,200 pounds of hardwood floors to our lake house. We're doing this shoot here at Tesla Supercharger because a friend of ours lent us this adapter, which is available from Ford. He had to wait quite a few months, so here's the Tesla plug, and there's a CCS plug on the other side. And we're at a Tesla Supercharger hoping to charge it. No such luck, because 10 out of 32 stalls here are broken, so we're not gonna get a chance to use this adapter. We're gonna return it to him. Let me just give you back the adapter. And so we'll take you for a spin and tell you about the results. We already did a nice walk around when we were parking this car next to the Chevy BrightDrops, which are quite a bit taller. So we're gonna take you for a spin, give you the test results, and compare prices and specs of this Ford eTransit versus its Chevrolet competition, because we previously compared it with the Mercedes e-Sprinter. Okay, so let's take a spin. Let's get out of here. This super busy Tesla Supercharger. People are hoping to charge, and they cannot because so many units are broken. I guess people don't check the app to see which ones are working, which ones are not. And there's quite a few Teslas waiting to charge as well. So we'll get out of here because we don't really need to charge. We're so close to home. We're just gonna charge it overnight at home. We did top it up in Barrie on the way, as always, because we get free charge there using our Audi e-tron credits. Yes, okay, so somebody's angry here getting out because most likely that unit is broken. A lot of Teslas and the Cybertruck, etc. I was the only non-Tesla, excuse me, but could not charge at all here. We just wanted to test the adapter that was lent to us by a friend. Okay, so first of all, let's tell you about the prices and specs of this Ford eTransit. They started installing a bigger battery. Originally, the Ford eTransit was only available with a 68 kilowatt hour usable battery, which was way too small for this vehicle. Now it's available with 89 kilowatt hours usable. That's much better. It's still one of the smallest batteries available in for commercial vehicles. As you know from our previous video, the Mercedes has 115 kilowatt hours battery. The Chevy BrightDrop has a larger battery as well. The prices for this Ford eTransit start at 71,000 plus shipping and delivery fees and inspection fees. So with the fees, it's about 76 grand. This is for the low roof version, which we are driving here. It's already pretty well equipped, so we'll tell you about the equipment. The difference between the low roof and high roof is only about 4 grand. So I think most people will be going for the high roof, which you can just stand inside it, which is a big bonus. We had that in the Mercedes. It is full standing room, which is great. Here, when you're inside the cargo area, you have to bend down because this is the low roof version. The rated range for this Ford eTransit with this enlarged battery is 230 kilometers. and yeah, we'll tell you in a moment about the results of our testing and the consumption, etc., etc. Let's just mention, since we're comparing with the Chevy, the prices and specs for the Chevy BrightDrop. They start at 105,000 or 104,000. There is a front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive versions, while here the eTransit is only available in a rear-wheel drive version with 266 horsepower, which is, by the way, more than the Mercedes. And the Mercedes was limited to 120 kilometers per hour with its 200 horsepower rear motor. Here with 266 horsepower, we don't know what the limit is, but it's definitely more than 120, we can tell you. So no such limit on the speed for this particular Ford eTransit. Now the Chevy is available in front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The difference between the two is only $3,000. It's also available in two lengths. The roof height is the same, but it's available in 400 series and 600 series. The longer one, the 600 series, has a 14-foot bed, a cargo bed in the back. However, the big difference between the Ford and the Chevy is the load capacity. So the Ford has half the range, but it has twice the load capacity. As we mentioned before, 1.3 tons. The long version of the Chevy basically has only 600 and change kilograms maximum load capacity, and that's most likely due to the very heavy battery, large battery. So the smallest battery in a Chevy is 100 kilowatt hours, but for only about $3,000 more, you get the long range battery, which is 163 kilowatt hours, and the rated range is 400 kilometers. So it's almost double of this Ford eTransit. But like I said, the compromise is the load capacity, which is half of the Ford. So it really depends what you need. If you don't need a huge load capacity, then you might go for a Chevy. It has all-wheel drive, and it has twice the range. However, there's some limitations. So in terms of our test results, so we did quite a few fast charging sessions on this Ford eTransit. Number one, first time around when we drove without any preconditioning on the highway, obviously we don't want to drive. We were driving in the right lane. As usually we test all the cars using the middle to left lane speed when we're in passenger cars. But the commercial vans, including the Ford eTransit and now this, the eSprinter and now this eTransit, we test them in the right lane, often following in trucks. So in our first test, we did not follow any semis. We were not slipstreaming, and the consumption in the cold weather between -10 and -15 was all the way up to like 44 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that's quite a high consumption, even though this is a tall van, commercial van. So next time around, we did a similar test with some preconditioning, and we managed to bring it down to below 40. Using this car on the side roads, it's still consuming way over 30 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, usually around 33. So definitely preconditioning helps bring down the consumption from 44 to 38. The usable capacity being 89, this means that your range is it's over 200 kilometers even on the highway. So now the very surprising result on the highway with the full load of 2,200 pounds, which is not the maximum of this car, but it's pretty close to its maximum. 2,200 pounds of cargo in the back, and we use the highway right lane following the semis in the right lane using the slipstreaming method, and we got a consumption of under 40. We got the highway consumption of 39, which still gives this car over 200 kilometers range. So that's a very good result. So you just have to use your brain when you're driving these vehicles. You don't go at high speed, and if possible, you slipstream behind a semi. Of course, it carries with it the risk of stone chips that the semis tend to throw. So that's the method to drive this car when you're fully loaded and you're doing intercity trips. So we could have reached our lake house, which is 150 kilometers away, without the charging stop, even fully loaded. But we always stop by the batteries supercharger. So in terms of the charging speeds, the first time around we got a speed of 105 pretty much right away, which is really not bad. Today on the way back, again very cold weather, it was minus 15 with and minus 25 with the wind chill. The consumption on the side roads without preconditioning was still over 30, so it was around 38. Then after the charging session, even on the highway, now mind you, there was a lot of snow squalls, whiteout, so the traffic it was bumper to bumper traffic. It's a long weekend in February, family day, and it was bumper to bumper traffic. Because of the whiteouts, the traffic was slowing down. So that kind of helped keep the consumption low. So the final result was around 36 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, but the average speed was only about 65 kilometers per hour for the entire trip from Barrie to Toronto. So all in all, this vehicle passed the test. It's the least expensive commercial van so far in Canada, starting at 71 plus fees, compared to Mercedes, which is over 90,000, so 20 grand more for the Mercedes, 30 grand more for the least expensive Chevy BrightDrop. So you can almost buy a Fiat 500e for the difference between this Ford and the Chevy BrightDrop. And yes, it does have a much bigger battery, almost double the size of the battery when comparing it with the long-range Chevy BrightDrop. But again, it has only half the load capacity. So, thank goodness in our market you have the choice of 3 different commercial vehicles. You have the Ford, followed by the Mercedes e-Sprinter, and then you have since very recently introduced for public, for sales to the public, and there's only one dealer in the GTA, and that's Roy Foss Chevrolet. They are the only authorized dealer in the GTA, and that's where we shot our side-by-side comparison there. So that's about it. If you have any more questions about this test, please don't hesitate to comment under our video, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. As usual, don't forget to press the subscribe button on our channel to be informed when the next video is coming. We have lots more pure electric and plug-in hybrid cars being tested in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. And as always, we have to thank our sponsor, Condos and Castles Realty Inc. You can find them at www.condosandcastles.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at the next review.